Master Chan Lee. I am from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I am a second generation school owner, and I've been in the martial art industry for about 20 years. And today on this webinar, I have two amazing school owners, some of the top two school owners in the country. I have Master Tommy Lee from Annapolis, Maryland. Hello, Master Lee.
Hi, how are you?
And then I have also Master Jay Lee from Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Hello, Master Lees.
So, hey, you know what? I just realized this could be called the Lee seminar because it's like we're all named Lees and anyway, you're first of all, if you want to have a successful school, change your last name to Lee. As we get started here today, let me just tell you a little bit of each of the people that are on the webinar. Master Tommy Lee has one of the most successful schools in the United States of America. He just moved to a huge facility. I saw it online, sir. Tell us a little bit more about your school.
Actually, we were in the same location for almost 19 years, and we moved about a mile away, and now we have 6,500 square foot downstairs, and that's basically, we have one huge floor, which is kind of like two floors, and then we have a back overflow room, and downstairs we have a little kitchenette in case we have a birthday party. We can keep stuff, refrigerator and table, and that kind of stuff downstairs. And then upstairs, I have 2,000 square foot. I have my office, a little library, a private area for me with a sauna, so it's nice if I stay here a while. Then we have a big conference room. Everything's wireless, drop-down screen. And I have the accounting on one side, and then I have I brought in a custom kitchen. So when I do trainings and seminars, and when I have my staff come up and do stuff, that we can have, food and things like that. So it's very comfortable. And very modern. So the whole place is wired, so I can see all my schools, the floor, everywhere, from a TV in front of me or on my monitors. So it's very nice.
And how many students are in your organization, sir?
In this school or both schools?
Just both schools and each of the schools.
Okay, so the main location runs anywhere, depending upon the year, between 400 and 500. So during the summer, it'll be down toward 4. In September and October, it'll be up toward 5. That's just true. That's the way that we run it. My other school usually runs at about 300. We had some things that happened in about a year and a half ago, and if people read the magazine, they can find out what that was. And so we stopped advertising and stopped a lot of things for a while. Now we're just now kicking it back in again. So that school has about 250. And here we've got a little bit about 400, but now that we're starting to kick back the advertising and kick back bringing people in the door, we'll go back to 500 and 300.
Yeah. And so, I mean, obviously these are not these are extraordinary numbers. Most martial arts schools are, barely cracking 100 and 125 students.
Right.
And so, and I know I am one of your former students. I bought your SBS sales systems. It was one of the first things that I bought when I got into the martial art industry. You're kind of a legend in the martial art world, and all your knowledge in doing that. And what impresses me the most is the way you manage your locations. And we often joke, Master Tommy Lee is the master of not being there and having a very successful school. And I know you're very hands-on, and your schools are run very tightly. And I don't know how you do it, but you do an amazing job with that. And then Master Jay Lee. If people don't know who Master Jay Lee is, Master Jay Lee is probably one of the youngest and most successful school owners I know in the United States. And at his young tender age, he built a mega school. It's about a 10,000 square foot school right next to the local Walmart in his area. Sir, tell me a little bit more about your organization. How many students do you guys have, and then how many students are in your current locations, each of the locations?
Well, my school doesn't have a kitchen. It has a little bathroom with the microwave and fridge, but it keeps me fed. But no, sir, I'm very fortunate. I'm also, like yourself, second generation school owner, and so we have 5 locations in the Colorado Springs area. So our first school was opened by my father in 1986, and so we have 4 out of the 5 buildings we own the real estate for, and so we most recently opened our 5th location in February this year. And so we acquired a 15,000 square foot building, and then we converted half of it to our space, and the other half is tenant. So we have Urgent Care in one half and our new Dojang in the other. So at that location, we have about 275, 300 students, and then our main location up by Walmart is similar to Master Tommy Lee. We got rotate between 400 to 500 students depending on the time of year, and then the other 3 locations anywhere between 200 to 275. So that's roughly our numbers for our locations.
And that's great. And then how did building a 9,000, 10,000 square foot school, how did that all come about? I mean, has it always been a vision of yours to have a school that big, or?
Well, I lost a lot of my hair through the process, but maybe that's just my genes. But no, I think that was something that was kind of ingrained in my father started us out that way, that our school here, our first school here in Colorado Springs was to own the real estate, because it's just the best long-term investment. Make sure you're not just paying your rent to a landlord, and so after 25, 30 years, then you own the real estate. And so that's kind of been our philosophy throughout all of our locations. That's kind of why we are a little bit slower as far as expanding locations, because we do like to own the real estate.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I know you have a lot of a wealth of knowledge that the both of you can share with us in terms of like trends that are going on in the martial art industry. And I know Master Tommy Lee and Master Jay Lee, especially Master Tommy Lee, you are like, I hate to say this, but you guys are like martial art nerds. You guys are like always on the cutting edge of learning the most incredible techniques. And I'll see pictures from Master Tommy Lee in the Philippines to, you know, he's in some remote destination on an island training. So it's really cool to see like real martial artists like really kicking butt. And Master Tommy Lee, can you give us some ideas of what trends that you see in the martial art industry, especially in terms of you are not only a great martial artist but an incredible marketer. What are some marketing things that you guys are seeing that's going on in the industry?
Well, you know, a lot of what I'm hearing about is a lot of the internet type of things, correct? So, but what I'd have to say is I think one of the most important things is the grassroots. So even if you don't do the internet, which I'm not saying don't, because you should, but the grassroots are the most important, okay? And also teaching good curriculum. And what I see is I see people jumping in the industry from one thing to another thing just because it worked for somebody else, even if it disturbed the culture of their school. So what I would say is that you can find marketing things that, and the way that you market yourself, and still keep the values and the culture of your school and not sell out. Does that make sense? So all the things that you hear others doing, if their principles aren't the same as yours, you can still use the same technology and do the same things, but keep your culture and keep your values the same and teach real martial arts, and don't just sell out because something else is happening. There should be a reason. Like, for example, we had the way that we do our curriculum, and you know, we have a certain self-defense program, but I was looking for something a little bit more practical when I started looking at my students when they walked outside, because if we taught them 50 things and then they didn't remember the, you know, thing at yellow belt when they're a brown belt, and it doesn't work, right? So I started seeking, how do I make my system better? And so we changed our self-defense aspect, making it more practical, easier to learn.
Yeah, and just not to interrupt you, but in terms of like grassroots and culture, I have firsthand knowledge of, I remember picking up at the airport in Madison, Wisconsin, and there was a AAU Nationals. You had I think you had like 25, 30 plus athletes coming to Madison, Wisconsin for the AAU Nationals held there at the Dane County Coliseum. And so you know, when you first hear, oh, Master Tommy Lee, you know, how do these athletes look? And I was supremely impressed of how great your students looked on a national level. And on top of that, I got a chance to break bread with your team and the camaraderie and the grassroots. So, you know, my further respect of you as a martial art leader, it just kind of grew. So I know that the grassroots aspect, and also in terms of the culture, you have it, sir. And one of the things that I kind of really took back from that interaction and spending with you those 2 days is saying, okay, you got to have a good, respectful culture. You got to have this team, this esprit de corps that was built, that you had in your academies, and thank you for sharing that with me. And then now you're saying like you've been using a lot more self-defense, like specific self-defense and things like that for your curriculum. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Right. So, and the reason I mentioned the self-defense is because part of my marketing now includes that, a big part of it. So for an example, people right now, as far as bullying goes, as far as safety goes, and strangers are traveling and things of that nature, people may not want to do martial arts. You may offer a free month or a price that's very attractive. And for the people that aren't looking for martial arts because they don't understand what we do, they're not going to respond to those offers anyway, right? But for the people that are looking for a free seminar or a program that might be 2 or 3 weeks where they can teach them right now is a key time to do the stranger danger type of things. You know what I mean? Because that's the term that people use, even though that might not be the right term to use. And then when school comes back, they're worried about maybe getting bullied. So what my marketing now is I'm sending out to all the people that were former students and all the people that are current inquiries that haven't joined or past inquiries, and letting them know that we have a summer special, but within that same time period, on that offer, we'll show that in June we're going to be doing the stranger danger type of seminar, and it's free and it's complimentary, and then halfway across the summer, another marketing piece will go out, but it'll include the back-to-school bully type of thing to go in. So if somebody's interested in our program, they'll come in. If somebody's interested in doing this self-defense, because it's only going to be a short thing and it's not like they're making a commitment for 2 times a week, they'll come into that. But when they come in, they'll realize that, number one, the kids had a great time, number two, they learned something, and number three, they want to come back. So it doesn't matter how you get them in. What matters is what you teach them while they're here to make them want to come back, if that makes sense.
So tell me a little bit more about the event and your curriculum, because I know a lot of martial arts schools, and sadly in our industry, people do the school of, I call it the MSU school, right? They make stuff up, right? So did you go on the internet and research like all your materials for Dangerous Stranger and your self-defense stuff? Is it just from your years of martial art training? How did you come up with your curriculum?
Well, actually, so in the beginning, yeah. So in the beginning, I took the best out of a lot of things, is what I did in the beginning. And then toward the end, when I started researching certain things, and as far as my regular self-defense program, I wanted something that only had a few steps that could be done, and instead of teaching 50 different self-defense techniques, teach the basics of what people need, and then go more in scenario-based things, so people could get their techniques much better, right? Like a boxer. He's only got a few movements, correct? He has so many different combinations, but he's really good with his hands. But imagine if you taught the boxer 75 punches. They wouldn't practice them all the time, and when they needed it, it might not come natural, right? So I said, what kind of self-defense can we use to where the kids come in and practice? They're doing it all the time, but they're not going to go practice at home in reality, right? And by the time they get through the levels, is it going to be natural? And is it based on how they grab you or based on the scenario? And what I did was I ended up finding, U.S. fighting systems with Dave Young. And so a lot of his principles, now we've incorporated his system into my school. And so to answer your question, we use his principles for the stranger danger and for the bullying and even the backpack type of, we can't go into that now, but he has a certain backpack program. So we use that because it relates to people that don't even want to do martial arts. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So we have a system that we follow through him, and he comes down, a couple times a year and works with my staff, which is great because, if you work with your staff, it means one thing, but if somebody else comes in and works with your staff, even if it's the same stuff, they love it, right? So it's very good to have him come down and work with my guys. So that's kind of what we use as far as the system.
Okay, so you've kind of hired an outside consultant to help you with that self-defense aspect.
Oh, yeah, because not only that, but I get to use all his credibility. So here's the other thing, too. There's a lot of things that the school learners, okay, whether it's competition, whether it's self-defense, whatever it is, if we say we design or we do and this and that, every school owner has their own thing that they can make. But if you have a third-party validation from an expert outside your school and you're using their material, you have much more credibility than you do if you just make something up. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and especially with someone like his pedigree, you kind of piggyback off that in terms of who you talk with. And
so his reputation becomes mine now.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you've seen a big number of new students that have come by using some of those programs.
Yeah, we've seen that, but what we've also seen is that when he comes down and speaks, the way that he speaks and the way that he talks about self-defense is different than most people. And the parents were like, wow, man. You know, and we say some of the same things, but the way he says it and the knowledge that he has kind of really sparks the parents. I mean, I don't really know how to explain it other than when he leaves, they're excited for him to come back again. So, and let me really quick. So we talked about the self-defense, correct? So what I want to get in as far as the marketing point, because I think that was your question, right?
Yes, sir.
Is that we send out, you have to have a marketing program. You don't just do something one time, right? So for this summer, we plan, okay, we're going to send out postcards to new people, right? And we're going to market on the internet, and we're going to market text to our former students to try to get them back. And we know that we're not going to just try to get them back if we give them a free month or try to get them back. So in that marketing, it's they can come by and they can do a free workshop because we have other people that want to come back that need to get used to it again so they don't feel uncomfortable when they come into class, right? So that gets the people that say, oh, I really want to come back and I don't want to feel uncomfortable. They're now thinking, oh wow, a bunch of people are coming back that haven't been here. We can go ahead and go to a short workshop for 2 or 3 hours for free, and then if we feel comfortable, we can go ahead and try class, right? So that's one way. And then the past students that inquired, maybe they don't want to come to do 2 days a week or pay the pricing, but we're going to give them the option to come in for the free Stranger Danger program because summer's starting, so they may opt to do that, and then that might get them back in the door again, right? And so, and then our current students, we want to thank them, and anybody that trains during the summer can bring a friend for free to train with them because we want to reward them for training on the summertime. So that makes them stay training, right? And it also brings in their friend. See? Absolutely. So we have a couple different specials, and I'm trying something different this year. So anybody that comes in and joins on the special, they're allowed to bring as many family members as they want and their top best 2 friends. And they don't have to pay anything except for the uniform for the trial period. So our goal isn't really making the money up front now. I always try different things to see if they work in my school before I tell people about them. So right now we had the first 5 people that responded to that new offer. Those 5 people are bringing 16 people. No, I'm sorry. They're bringing 11 more people. So 16 total. Okay. Now, will they join? I don't know. But now we have 16 more people in the school, in my small school, because of that one special, and we just ran it, and we only had 5 people. Well, we have more respond now, but when I counted it, we only had 5 people that responded. So transfer that into the end of the program. Out of those 16, even if 8 join, that's better than the 5 original people. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. How long is the trial period?
Trial period, basically, we stopped it at August 15th. Okay? So that means, and it was supposed to go when school ended, right? So it was just 2 months. But if they join before that, they actually get more, right? So the sooner they join, the better. So it's not like a 2-month thing.
Absolutely.
So the sooner they join. So if they wait 2 weeks, they've lost 2 weeks. Now, what we're going to do is when half of the summer is over, we're going to say, hey, half the summer is over. It's $99 now. So you know what I mean? And you can bring your friends and stuff like that. So we're launching this to see instead of saying you get 2 months for doing this, it's saying, hey, you can train for the whole summer, but it ends at August 15th because that's when our testing is. And that's when people are going to be joining anyway, full price. So why have that go through the end of August? Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. What a great promotion. A great way for the summer. Absolutely. Absolutely. And Master Lee in Colorado, I know we're getting confused. There's so many Lees on the teleconference today.
You're saying we all look the same?
Except for my gray hair.
No, you all talk the same. But anyway, what I wanted to ask you, though, is that I know you have different programs in your school. You have your trial program, you have your basic program, and then you have your upgradable program, and then you have your, like Master's Journey and stuff like that. And first of all, give me an idea. How do you outline your programming in your academies?
The way we start our program is, our trial program is, we have a couple different ways people can get started to try out our school. So the first general way people will come in is, if they make a phone call, they just do the one private trial lesson with enrollment director and sign up. And then obviously we have some 2-week or 4-week trial programs depending on the time of year, whatever special, group plan, etc. So we have X kind of trial program, and then the next step is they enroll into our 6-month beginner course. And our 6-month beginner course, we just work on attitude and basics. And so in our beginner program, we just do a short introduction to real-world self-defense. We do basic kicks, blocks, punches, and stances, but we don't do any sparring. We don't make any contact. We don't do any forms. So then the next level up from there is our Black Belt Club program. And so we do the different color uniforms. So our 6-month beginner course is the white uniform. Then our Black Belt Club is our blue uniform. And so the blue uniform and the Black Belt Club, they're committing to become first-degree black belts. In that program, they'll learn how to do the kumses, the forms. They'll learn how to get all of our full self-defense curriculum, meaning they'll do grips, punching, choking, bear hug, basic ground, basic mount defense in the Black Belt Club course. And then the next level up from there is our red uniform. It's called our leadership program, commits them to their second-degree black belt. In our school, we decided that only in the leadership program will you start to learn how to use weapons. So that's when we introduce weapons to the program. Then after that is a gray uniform, which takes them to their 3rd-degree black belt, and then the black uniform commits them to 4th degree or above. So those are the different ways we structure our program, and there's a different layer of curriculum that's added on as you go from one program to the next.
Right, and so you know, the biggest thing I'm impressed about is when I talk to you about the amount of programs you're in, but then the dollar amounts that you charge, because you have this trial program. Basic knowledge of self-defense, you know, it's one set amount, but then the programs, as people are kind of become better practitioners, right? It's kind of like you know, you get a high school private education, you pay a certain amount, right? But then, you know, when you go to college, I mean, obviously there's another substantial dollar amount that you'll pay for getting that type of education, and then you get your master's, right? That's another substantial investment in your education, and then if you're getting a PhD, I mean, that you know, that's a huge investment into your education, right? And I think when I look at how you structured your school, you've been charging those dollar amounts. Could you just give me rough numbers in terms of like your basic program and what the paid in full amounts look like?
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I don't think I charge as much as a lot of schools. I think maybe Master Tommy Lee probably charges more than I do, but you know, I think it really depends on the city that you're in and what's reasonable in that area. But for us, our basic program generally is $150 a month. Our Black Belt course is $180 a month. Our leadership program is $200 a month, and the various programs above that are also $200 a month. That's for the first person. So at each level, we have registration fees, and so your down payment's a little higher, or you could do it in a lump sum. And so, you know, for our Black Belt Club program, let's say, for example, they choose to do the 3-year program in a lump sum, it's about $5,000. If they do the second-degree program, it's an additional $5,500. So those are the general financial tuition figures.
Right. So I guess, you know, not anybody just plops down $5,000. You know, most people think, okay, you know, the general public will walk into a martial arts school and say, you know what, I'm just going to think about paying maybe $100 a month or maybe $80 a month to do martial arts, and they don't think of $5,000, $10,000. You know, I know in some programs $15,000 to do martial arts. What makes you feel so confident that those are the dollar amounts that you could charge? And I guess, and obviously it's worth it. I mean, you have very happy customers. You have a high customer satisfaction rating in your academies. Why is that?
Well, I really agree with what Master Tommy Lee said prior, saying that, you know, it's important that as a school owner you don't sell out just to martial art trends, things that people just seem to be popular at that time. So for us, staying inherent to our traditions, I think is important. So I really break up our program into 3 general categories. There's the first part, which are traditional part. We have the privilege to be second-generation school owners, so there's a lot of history and tradition to what we do, and we always want to make sure that maintains a big part of our school, that we're still bowing in the same way that we used to. That we're more than just some sport or some activity. So I think that's the first value statement, is that we're not just some sport, we're not just some activity, we're teaching a lifestyle. So that we got our traditional stuff, which is our pumse, all of our traditions inherent to Taekwondo Korean culture. The second part is that we have the Olympic aspect of what we do, and Taekwondo is one of the only martial arts, similar martial arts to full Olympic sports. So not karate, not kung fu, not jiu-jitsu. So for the students who are interested in developing themselves in an elite athlete level, it gives them a roadmap to be higher level athletes in that sense. So there's the Olympics sparring what we do, which I think adds a lot of credibility to what Taekwondo is all about. And then the third element is our real world self-defense. You know, there's a lot of trends out there. There's mixed martial arts, there's jiu-jitsu, there's people who think that Taekwondo is just an art, you know, all you do is kick, and they don't really know about it. And so we here in Colorado Springs, we're a very military community, so we've got a lot of Air Force bases, military bases, we've got the Air Force Academy, and we've always had over the years those parents or those police officers who are like, you know, I'm not going to learn your program because I learned Krav Maga or I learned Jiu-Jitsu or whatever it is that they learn. And so that's what was really important for us is we want to be able to overcome that objection. We'll never be a Jiu-Jitsu school. I'll never be a mixed martial arts school. But what we can provide to all of our students and our family is practical real-world self-defense. And I use the same program that Master Tommy Lee uses with Mr. Dave Young, U.S. Fighting Systems, that it's all real-world based. It's practical. So now we have the best of all worlds. We've got the traditional stuff. We've got the sport Olympic stuff. We've got our real-world self-defense. That I'm not going to ever pretend to be a jiu-jitsu school. I'm not going to pretend to be a mixed martial arts school. But we are going to educate our students and our families on keeping themselves safe with not stuff we just made up. There's credible information coming from police trainers. It's the same stuff police and military are taught. So for us, it's about educating people that Taekwondo is more than their perception. Our curriculum has to be strong. And also the other piece is changing children's character. You know, I think that unfortunately in our society, a lot of kids don't respect their parents the way that I really believe that they should. And there's a lot of lack of discipline, and especially the way our society has become is everything is instant gratification. You can find anything you like on the internet. Kids don't have patience, kids don't have discipline, and kids don't have commitment. So this is Taekwondo and martial arts training is a great way to teach that. So the long answer is that we really believe that educating people on all areas, and we've become so much more than just an activity in sport, and we're teaching people that Taekwondo is not what they thought it was from based off of something they saw on TV.
Well, Master Lee, thank you for sharing your insight, and now I can kind of see why you're so successful. And Master Tommy Lee, thank you for joining us on this webinar today. If you want more information about Master Tommy Lee, you can see him at this year's Martial Arts Super Show. He's one of the speakers. In fact, I think you're a speaker there almost every year. And you'll see him throughout the whole industry. Anything that's very industry-specific, Master Tommy Lee is there. Be sure to look him up. He's very approachable. When I was a smaller school owner, he really helped me through a lot and has helped me get to where I'm at today. And so thank you very much, Master Tommy Lee.
You're welcome. Oh, can I say one thing?
Yes, sir.
You know, as far as yourself and Master Jay Lee, you know, I go around and I see a lot of schools, and we see a lot of schools, people have 400 and 500 students, right? But usually the schools that have that many, when they have multiple locations, all the other locations only have 100 or 150. So for, like, when you, Master Jay Lee, when you were sharing your numbers with me, anybody that has a school and then has multiple schools, and those schools have 250 plus students, that's an amazing job. Because it changes when you have multiple schools. And for you to be able to keep those average numbers of 275, you know, in multiple schools, because I can tell you right now, keeping 275 to 300 in my one other school is tough, right? And so to do that, you have to have a system. And so a lot of times you want to follow the trends of the people that are doing things that work in all of their schools, not just one big school and then a bunch of little schools. So, you know, I just wanted to say that because you hear a lot of things from a lot of people, and but you want the proven things that work and keep your culture. So, you know, I just thought I'd put that out there.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And that's, you know, the main reason I, have asked you guys to be on the webinar is because you guys are definitely true leaders in the martial art industry and have the right martial art culture. And I think, you know, it's not just about the latest kicking and punching and latest internet marketing ads and the latest ways of closing a deal and getting the most money from your students. Is that, you know, it's about providing the right consistent value that people will say, all right, this is where I need to put my family, and this is where I need to consistently have, you know, my children and my families learn. And like I said, you guys are true leaders. And I know Master Jay Lee, before we end the webinar, Master Jay Lee and his family have done an amazing job of growing Taekwondo in the United States of America. And if people don't know, also, I didn't mention this earlier, Master Jay Lee's father is Grandmaster Seng Lee, who was the U.S. Team coach for Taekwondo in 1988. And you've now carried down that torch with the U.S. Hamadang. Real quick, sir, give us a real quick synopsis of U.S. Hamadang, and got some big people coming to your tournament this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate it. You know, for us, looking at Taekwondo, we wanted to make sure that Taekwondo and competing at the Olympics is not just for the elite athletes. And we all, as school owners, know that the amount of people who want to be elite athletes is maybe 5 to 10% of your school who want to actively do sparring all the time. But what about the other 90% of your student population, which is made up of kids and families? Kids and families also need an opportunity to train at a higher level, compete at a higher level, and participate in something together. So we have the U.S. Open Taekwondo Hamadang, which is going to be held later this month, June 19th, 2015. It's our 7th annual. This is our 4th year doing it here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. We've got planning for about 1,500 athletes from all over the United States and the world. Last year we had 40 out of the 50 states represented. This year I think we'll be close to that number. And we just got confirmation yesterday that Miss USA, Mia Sanchez, is coming to the U.S. Open Taekwondo Hamadang. I don't know if everybody knows, but she's a 4th degree black belt. She actually took 2nd place in Miss Universe, so she's runner-up for Miss Universe, so she's going to come to the Hamadang. I think it's a great role model for all of the young ladies that Taekwondo can teach you about commitment, teach you about goal setting, so she's going to be there. We've got some other guests. We've got the Korean Tigers coming. It's going to be a really great event, so if anybody's interested in checking it out, it's usopentkd.com. We'd love it if Master Tom Lee can make it. I know he's a busy man, but Master Lee, if you can make it, we'd love to have you.
When is it?
June 19 and 20.
19 and 20.
And Mr. Dave Young is running our security, so we know our arena is going to be really safe.
There you go.
So he'll have his headset on. He'll be talking. So.
Can you repeat again? It's USA what?
U.S. Open.
Oh, U.S. Open.
usopentkd.com.
Got it. Okay. Excellent. I'll look it up.
Well, awesome. Well, gentlemen, I hope to see you soon at any of the big martial art events, and thank you for being on this month's webinar. And I plan to have a lot more of these, so kind of sharing and giving back to the martial art industry. You guys have a great afternoon.
Thank you, Master Lee. Thank you, Master Lee.
Yep. Thank you, guys.